Hello students, welcome to class 12 English e-learning. Today we'll study our second poem. The name of the poem is An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. This poem is written by Stephen Spender. And first of all, I will tell you about poet. He is an English poet, novelist and an essayist. He has concentrated on the themes of social injustice and class inequalities. The poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, is written by Stephen Spender. Here he describes the social inequalities which are prevailing in the society. In the poem, he describes the condition of the students of an elementary school which is situated in slum area. The poet wants to draw attention of everyone towards these kids so that their life can be improved and they may get trained to become good citizens rather than criminals. So let's begin our poem. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces. Here, the poet describes the children who study in an elementary school which is set up in a slum area. The poet says that faces of children are dull and without any energy. They are not full of energy like other kids of their age. Like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. Here the poet compares these children to unwanted weed. Here the right poet wants to say that these children seem to be unwanted, like the unwanted weeds which grow on their own in the fields. Their hair is not neatly done. It falls on their pale faces as if they have been torn apart. The children are untidy. They haven't combed their hair. The tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. Here the poet describes a girl of that classroom and a thin boy. He describes a tall girl who seems to be burdened by poverty. Her head is bent, maybe because of tiredness, or she is troubled, or she is having stress in her mind. There is another boy who is so weak and thin that he has been compared to a sheet of paper. The boy's eyes reflect greed and he wants to achieve everything. As the rat is in search of food, its eyes are bulging out, and always eyes of the rat is moving in different direction as the rat is searching, same way the boy is searching. The stunted, unlucky hair or twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. Then the poet describes another student who is physically disabled. The poet says that this boy is unlucky because he inherits a disease from his father due to which he has a deformed body. And he is reciting his lesson from that desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrels came in tree room other than this. Here in the classroom, everybody is focused to study whatever they can. But here, in the last bench, there is one child who is sitting. Instead of listening in the classroom, at the back, that child, a small boy, and that what he is doing, he is looking outside. He is not paying attention to the class. He is busy. He is actually interested in playing with the squirrels in the tree house. Means he is watching a tree where the squirrels may be playing, and his more focus is toward that squirrel. Now come to the literary devices of this stanza. In the first line, you can say far, far. Far, far, here the more stress is given. Here the word is repeated. You can say it as repetition. And in the same first line, children are compared, second line you can say the children are compared with rootless weeds. And like it is known as simile, where the comparison of the children are with the weeds, rootless weeds. The third line, the paper seeming boy with rat's eye. Here the boy is compared with the paper. He is very thin. This type of comparison is known as metaphor. Now come to next stanza. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head. Here the poet describes the walls of the classroom. They are cream in color, like the color of sour cream. They are dull. They are actually painted rarely. And the walls are covered with different charts and images that must have been donated by different people. There is a picture of Shakespeare on the wall. Cloudless at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities. Belled flowery Tyrolese valley. Now the poet says, at the time of daybreak, the sun is rising at the horizon. There is a picture of civilized domes in the classroom. There is a picture of famous Tyrolese valley which has beautiful flowers. Open-handed map, awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, were all their futures painted with a fog. There is an image of a map which shows all the parts of the world except their slum. But for these children, the map of the world is irrelevant because the slum where they live is different from what is shown in the map. Their world is only what they see out of the window of the classroom of the slum. Their future is full of darkness. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, caves, and stars of world. Their future is compared to narrow street, which means that there is no wide scope available for their future growth. Means here the poet is comparing these children are far away from radiant light of happiness, knowledge, and education. Means they are in different world. They are not knowing the other parts of the world. They are limited to their classroom, which is very dull and inactive. Now come to see the poetic devices of the second stanza. Here in the first line of second stanza, on sour cream walls. Walls are dull colored, sour cream. It is metaphor. And the future of the kids is described as limited narrow street sealed with a lead sky. Means it is actually about the future of the kids. It is also metaphor. And in the third line, belled flowery, Tyrolese valley. In this line, a repetition of the vowel E sound is there. You can say it is assonance. And nextly is allusion. Allusion is here reference of the Shakespeare is given. He is a well-known person, and expression of the Tarle's Valley is given. It is included in allusion. Okay, this is about the second stanza. Now come to third stanza. Surely, Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love, tempting them to steal for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes, from fog to endless night. Here the poet calls the portrait of Shakespeare wicked because it is meaningless for children going to a slum school. Actually, there is no quality education in these schools, and the children will never learn about Shakespeare work because for these children, their classroom is actually the whole world for them. There is no world beyond their poverty, hunger, and hopelessness. So, these maps are waste, you can say, unreal for these children. And the beautiful world with its offering like the sun, ship, love and care only tempt them to steal because they cannot have all these worldly things. These slum children, they live in cramped holes like hutments, and there is no end to their misery. There is a perpetual state of doom, hunger and despair, and their future is full of darkness. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel, with mended glass like bottle bits on stones. Here the poet says their bodies look like garbage heaps. They are very skinny and their bones are peeping out of their skin, means they are very thin. And the state of poverty is intensified by the fact that the glasses which they wear is cracked and look like broken pieces of a bottle, and their spectacles are actually mended. All of their time and space are foggy slum, so blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Here the poet says, all of their life is being destroyed here in the slum, and their future is in darkness. There is no hope to come out of their place. Here the poet tries to explain these kids, they have to face so many hardships in their life, and these slums are getting bigger and bigger. They will destroy the future of these children, and it will be very difficult for such children to escape from them. That's why here the poet is using this line, and you can say the slum is like a blot as big as doom on the maps of these children, the lives of these children. The poetic devices in this stanza, here metaphor is used where the crammed holes, their homes are very small like holes, that is here metaphor. And the bottle bits on stones, they are repaired spectacles like bottle bits on stones, it is simile. And from fog, F letter is repeated, here it is alliteration. Next, come to fourth stanza. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Here the poet says that the government should take notice of the problems being faced by these kids. He urges them to change the life of these kids and make the world map a reality for them. He wants the governor, inspector and public to help these kids in achieving their dreams. Break, oh break, open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the whites and green leaves. Open history theirs whose language is the sun. Here the poet says, as this will take them away from fog to azure sky, when governor, inspector, public will help these slum children, they will be getting chance to get in open sky. The poet wants to say that in this way the kids can be taken away from the darkness of their present situation and they can come to a bright future. He wants these kids to experience the sands and the beauty of nature, as this will lead to a desire of gaining knowledge. Means they should get a chance to come out of the slum area. They should come in nature, they can learn from the nature, they can gain knowledge. They will then go through the white and green leaves. They should get education. Here the poet uses white and green leaves, means the slum children should get chance to study and they should get chance to come in open area, means in nature. And here the poet says that history is made by those who help others, who give brightness to others. They are remembered in history whole life. And it can also mean that people who undergo hardship and progress are remembered. It can be taken as the poet here feels that education can help them, and history is written by those whose language has warmth, means the person who is helping and the person who is having energy like that of a sun. That's why he has written history theirs whose language is the sun. This line is very important. Now come to the poetic devices of this stanza 4. Books and nature are expressed in the form of white and green leaves. The white and green leaves, open where it is used, actually it is metaphor. And use of repeated words in 2 consecutive lines, run azure, run naked, run azure and run naked. It is anaphora. Okay, this is about the poem and it is written about the children who are living in the slum area, and poet want that everybody should help so that these children are coming out of their home slum and their future is bright. Okay, got it now? Thank you.